Before we leave the topic of moderated mediation, I just want to give you a couple of things to think about if you find yourself in a situation where you proposed a significant moderated mediation but it is not working out. And so the first, of course, is that you don't have enough N size. And there's a source, Preacher Rucker Hayes, 2007, and it's posted in this week's folder on Blackboard. And that article provides some power estimates from simulations that the authors conducted, and also they report some previous simulations as well by other authors. And as a whole, they recommend about 200 to 300 participants are needed to detect a conditional indirect effect. Particularly, this is important if the conditional indirect effect is small. And that just means that as we move across the units of the moderator, what is the indirect effect doing? And if there's only a small change in the indirect effect when we go up 1 unit on the moderator, then we would expect to need more N to detect that. However, if there's a large change in the indirect effect based on moving 1 unit up on the moderator, then we would know that we would need a smaller N size and still have enough power to detect the effect. As I have said previously, due to publishing bias, error in measurement, etc., other things that also downwardly bias power estimates, I would recommend that a priori we all pretty much assume that the conditional indirect effect will be a small one. So when you're planning for the study, if you ever do any grant writing or any research for the government, etc., later in the future for clients, it's just important to know that this particular one is going to need a lot of N size to detect it. It's similar to a simple moderation actually in that sense, but I think that it's even more important for these more complex models to have a proper N size, if at all possible. Of course, resources are important. If you're working with archival data, it may be a little easier to obtain the amount needed, but it's just something to keep in mind, and a limitation a lot of times in what we can do with the resources that we have. We can also try respecifying our model. So on which path is the interaction taking place? That's a question we can ask ourselves. If we believed that the interaction was taking place on the A path, we can try it on the B path, just to do some supplementary analyses, figure out if there's an interaction going on at all on any of the paths. And if not, we can take out the moderator and just try testing a simple mediation and report that. So we can, in our write-up, say that this moderated mediation was tested, we didn't find it, perhaps the study was underpowered, so we are just going to report the simple mediation model. And finally, it's important to think about all of the factors that impact power for an MMR that we discussed previously. And that includes things like measurement error in our data, range restrictions, scale coarseness, etc. All of those factors are going to impact a moderated mediation model as well. And so if you find yourself in the 2YP, for example, if your moderated mediation didn't come out, then these are some of the things you can talk about in the discussion section. Recall that we have 2 possibilities when our results don't come out. Either that is a true representation of the population and we had enough power to detect it and we just didn't, or it's really there but we just didn't have enough sensitivity to pick it up. And so those are the 2 possibilities that you can discuss in the wrap-up section of your paper. That it could be this or it could be this, and when you think through those possibilities, that's what I think we're really looking for, is that learning process, that you're able to think through alternative explanations for what you found. Well, that concludes the topic of moderated mediation, and you will be receiving more instruction in next class, next quarter, on this topic as well.